Liberal MP Dave Sharma, who's also the former ambassador to Israel. Thanks so much for your time. Given the reaction, the swift reaction from the Palestinians, do you think this is a deal that's dead on arrival?
Well, I don't think the Palestinian reaction was unexpected. You'll have to recall that the Palestinians have effectively been boycotting the Trump administration since their decision to move the embassy to Jerusalem. And I think that's unfortunate because it means that Palestinians have not had an input or not a significant input into this plan. But look, to your question, the test of any peace deal or peace package is really the willingness of the two conflicting sides to accept it. No peace can be made unless an agreement's made between Israel and the Palestinians. And if the Palestinians aren't willing to engage on the terms of this agreement, well, then it doesn't look like it's got a bright future as a peace agreement.
Well, I mean, this is the first time, Dave, that there has been something like this since Bill Clinton was on the White House with Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat way back in '93. So it's taken so far to get to this point. But is this the best chance, in your opinion, that the Palestinians have got?
Well, look, I don't think so. I mean, I think the difficulty here, we had the Oslo process, which you alluded to, then we had the Camp David process in 2000, there was the Annapolis process under President Bush in 2005, 2006, and then there was a John Kerry, Barack Obama process in about 2014 and 2015. So there have been multiple attempts at this. But the hardest thing, and this was certainly my experience, is basically that there wasn't sufficient overlap between the red lines of both parties, if you like, that there was the ability to do a deal. And my view is that we should be helping to support constructive and cooperative relations between Israel and the Palestinians. But a peace deal, that is an agreement that recognises two states living side by side alongside one another in peace and security, may well take a generation to achieve.
Looking at the red lines, as you refer to them, it's interesting that this plan seems to have gone back to the 1945 draft borders, and also when 1967 is often the borders that are talked about as the most likely kind of starting point for any kind of deal, but also centering around Temple Mount and the Alaska Mosque. This plan would have put it firmly in Israeli territory, but that is a part of Jerusalem that is so significant to both sides, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, it's highly significant to the Muslim world at large, not just the Palestinians. Yeah. So other countries in the region and indeed around the world view Al-Aqsa Mosque as holy territory to them too. The original UN partition plan in 1947 envisaged Jerusalem being a separately governed area under international law. That didn't happen. The Palestinians didn't accept that plan at the time, and as a result, Jerusalem was partitioned between sort of 48 and 67, with Israel regaining territory after the Six-Day War. But I think, look, this plan deviates significantly from previous plans. Previous plans used the 67 borders as the basis, maybe with some land swaps, and they recognised there would have to be some sort of separate regime that governed what's called the Holy Base and the square mile of the old city of Jerusalem, which includes places like the Western Wall, holy to Jews, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, holy to Christians, and Al-Aqsa Mosque, holy to Islam.
One of several things that the Palestinians have a problem with is the fact that they have lost so much of the West Bank, and there is a vote that will be taking place on Sunday, Dave, a cabinet vote actually, to annex 30% of the West Bank. Do you see that succeeding?
Look, I'm not sure in Israel as it stands. Of course, the Israeli cabinet is sort of in a caretaker mode of sorts because they're facing their third election in about a year, just coming up. So I think even if a cabinet votes to do this, I think we'd want to wait and see what a new government looks like and a new administration there looks like to consider it to be a settled policy. But look, I think annexation would be problematic for the prospects of a future peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. The international community, indeed Australia, has always had a view that we support a two-state solution, we support one that's negotiated between the two sides, and we leave those two sides to settle and address the so-called final status issues. But I think we've always taken the view that a Palestinian state needs to be viable and contiguous if it's to be sustainable. And so we'd want to make sure that that is the case.
Dave, just on another issue this morning that's gaining a little bit of traction, and this follows Huawei's entry, if we can put it that way, towards the UK. Are you concerned, or do you believe, with Huawei going into the UK, that security secrets or talks between Australia and the UK may now be compromised
Look, I think we will want to study that UK decision very closely. Obviously, the United States and ourselves took a different decision about which companies were eligible to bid, if you like, into our telecommunications network, our 5G network. The UK has reached a different decision. We certainly spoke to them about this issue, as did the United States. They've said publicly, at least, that there will be safeguards in place, that foreign companies like Huawei will only be able to operate on the fringes of their system. I think we want to look quite closely at what those assurances are and what those safeguards are before we can reach any conclusion, really, about whether our own interests are going to be affected by this decision.
Dave Sharma, former Israeli ambassador and current Liberal MP, thanks so much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.